Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. Glad you're with me. Big weekend. I hope you had a great one. I hope you got to spend time with family and friends. I know you got the honeydews. You've also got the holidays coming up. Maybe you hit the gym a little bit because you got to work off a little bit of that Thanksgiving, pie, that extra piece of pie you ate. I got to drop 15 pounds quick just to fit into my clothes. I'm not going to buy a new wardrobe. I'm telling you right now. Look, so here's what happened with me. I quit working out for a little bit because I thought I was going to have surgery. I figured, what the heck? Let them get through. I didn't want them cutting through so much muscle, so I gave them a little fat. Anyway, didn't get to have the surgery I thought I was going to have. And so I look up, I'm like 15 pounds too freaking heavy. I'm a heavy D. So got to hit the gym. And, if you think you're going to diet during the holidays, well, let's just say you're an optimist because it's very tough to do. At Thanksgiving, different. Hey, come by the house, have a little Thanksgiving, this or that. So you go by, you have a little eggnog, a little piece of pie, whatever. Next thing you know, you're 3 pounds heavier. Anyway, I know you got a lot to do, a lot on your mind. Glad you're with us today. The theme for today is perspective. And it's funny. Perspective is one of those things that changes with everybody. But you can always look at things from a different perspective. And what I was having a discussion. Who was I having this discussion with? Oh, you know what it was? It was a meeting. A wealthy family has a thing at their house once a month, and they invite people over. They own a grocery store chain, and they invite people over to discuss various issues, political issues, but it's all meant to be very open. And one of the things, they had a radio host who was the guy, and one of the things that he said was, he said, we all have to be more open-minded. And he finished up and it was a feel-good story and all that. His brother had been killed in the war, and he took up the mantle and became a radio host out of nowhere. Wasn't a very good student, and found himself obviously conservative in his political thinking. But he believes that if we just talk to people, things are going to change. And I'm going, I don't think it will. I mean, when it was time for Q&A, I said, I disagree with you. I said, I've watched leftists. They don't change their mind. They're very dogmatic. And I said, and he says, well, Kevin, one-on-one, they tend to, I said, one-on-one, no question, they will listen a little better because they don't have the cacophony of people going, oh, he crazy. So they'll listen a little bit, but it takes a lot to change their minds. But here's the main thing. I said, and I looked around the room, there must have been 100 people. I said, in this room, there are people who are willing. I said, I don't think there's a person in this room, in fact, who's not willing to hear what they have to say. You could say to me, Kevin, I really believe pedophiles are good people. And I'll say, really? Tell me more. But then I want to have my say. And I want to say, as much as I understand that the mind of a pedophile doesn't see things the way we do. It's like an anorexic that sees herself as too fat. I said, I can acknowledge that an anorexic sees herself as too fat, but that doesn't make it right. I can acknowledge that a pedophile can rationalize, sex with a child, but that doesn't make it right. And I can back that up from an argument's perspective by giving you facts and talking about impact on children and so on and so forth. And then we can look at the statistics of children of pedophilia, the victims of pedophilia. What happens to them? Their suicide rate is geometrically higher than a child who doesn't suffer from that. And I could go on. But I'm willing to listen to them, even though I think it's a crackpot idea. But what I said to the guys, they don't listen to us. They don't want to. The minute you say to somebody, I voted for Trump, I didn't vote for Obama, I didn't vote for Hillary, I don't vote for Democrats, whatever, pick your poison. I'm not a progressive. I don't believe in gay marriage. I own guns. I go to church. There's a host of things that are triggers, and then suddenly they no longer want to hear your perspective. So that's one aspect. And then I also want to look at perspective on things that have happened in the media. What do you think about it? You know, we got a lot to talk about. Kate Steinle's killer gets off. Is your perspective, that's a terrible thing? It is, but I can tell you something that might make you feel a little better about it. I can also talk to you about Mike Flynn. He's going to testify against Donald Trump. What? Mike Flynn? Oh my goodness. People text me, Kevin, this doesn't look good for Donald Trump. And I'm like, guys, really? Seriously, I'm going to have to talk you off the ledge again? This is much ado about nothing, and we'll talk about that. And from hopefully a different perspective. The Alabama race. How much money's being thrown into it? What trickeration are the Democrats doing in order to fix this election? You think the Democrats are trusted more or less now? You think Hillary Clinton's trusted more or less? Think Barack Obama's a big star or what? He's traveling around the world and everybody's mad. Kevin, he's going in talking after Donald Trump ran from China. He's making this and that. Really? Do you care? Do you think it's going to impact anything? What do you think the president of China is thinking about Barack Obama? He's met the real president of the United States. What do you think he's going to think about Obama? Think he's going to change his mind about something? He's going to go undo Donald Trump's trade deal. Go do it. You think he's got that kind of juice? I'm hopeful, and this is what I try to do every single day, and I believe I accomplish this. I make you more empowered. I make you feel good about who you are and what you've chosen and the direction that you're headed. And I don't know if this is I don't know what to call this, but here's what I'll tell you. When I tell you that Donald Trump's not in trouble, you can trust that he's not in trouble. And maybe that helps you stay the course. Maybe that helps you get in the face of a leftist and say, you're no longer going to give me your perspective. Because the people texting me, Kevin, I'm watching Judge Napolitano and he's saying this, that, and the other. And I'm saying to you, you can trust that Donald Trump would tell you if he was in trouble. He would say, yeah, maybe we did do something that was out of technicality or whatever, but we'll deal with it. He's not running from it. You shouldn't either. Every time you guys do this, I feel like I don't have that army behind me. Now I'm going to be honest with you. I don't need you. I'm going to still say what I say, but I'm hoping that you understand that you don't need to abandon your views about things because somebody on the left is giving you fake news. God, we've gone through this, folks. We've been through this together. We've been in the trenches. Anyway, short break. You listen to the Kevin Jackson Show. Back in just a minute.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful four-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville. Can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. We got tons to cover. Yeah, I'm going to get situated here in my seat here. Yeah, we got tons to cover. But I want to begin with these sex scandals. And look, I know. Let me just give you what we're going to cover, so everybody's aware. And they're like, well, Kevin, are you just going to cover this sex stuff? No. First of all, let me give you a little bit of an idea of perspective, because this is what most people were talking about over the weekend with me. And I'd gone to a gun show with some friends of mine, law enforcement guys, and we were talking about this, and they said, you know what really makes me mad, Kevin? This story with Flynn has taken everything out of the news cycle. And all the stuff, the sex scandals and all that the Democrats are going through. I said, don't worry about it. And I said, it'll all come back. It's only temporary. And I explained this to him. I said, here's what happens. I don't know if you guys really know this, so let me give you a little inside baseball. So the Democrats, they take all these different things that are brewing. They got the list. They got Franken under fire. And let me just go ahead and tell you, Al Franken is he's protected. And it's because the Democrats have a racist system out there that says we can go after this Latino guy. There's a new guy that Nancy Pelosi just attacked. I don't know if you guys saw this. He's a Hispanic man. She also, after calling John Conyers an icon, she then attacked him and said he needs to resign. But you'll never hear her say Franken should resign. And here's why. The Democrats have stacked the deck to where it doesn't matter whether this Latino guy goes, including this other guy, Grijalva. It doesn't matter if John Conyers leaves. All they're going to do is stick another Latino or another black in their place. That's a Democrat that will be worse than the person that they are replacing, and it's business as usual. Democrats are going to win those districts. But Al Franken, he would lose. That seat would go to a Republican because Al Franken's already cheated his way in, and the Republican conceded and he could have won. But it will not go to a Democrat. So Al Franken's got to serve it out. He's got to ride it out. That's why you don't hear Democrats asking for Al Franken to resign. Just FYI. So anyway, that's one of the things. But I was explaining how this all works, this inside politics works. So here's what you have. You have the left who know they are in big trouble. You had Mueller. I wrote a piece about him the other day that said Mueller better do something quick or he's going to be under fire because he should have recused himself. He knows he's embroiled in the very mess that he's investigating. So Mueller knows this, so that's brewing. The left know this, that's brewing, and that they've got nothing on Donald Trump. But they like the specter of it all. Remember when Keith Olbermann gave up his job because he says, my job is done. I can now go off and live my life. And so the idea was Donald Trump will be arrested or impeached or asked to leave or whatever. And so he claims his job is done. They want to build a narrative. But here's the deal. They count their scandals. They got Hillary Clinton on the ropes. It's now been determined that Bill Clinton set up the ambush of Loretta Lynch on the tarmac. So you got this white racist former president, Democrat, who ambushes the black attorney general, and we'll go more into the story. That's what's being released on this. He wanted to get that meeting with her because it was going to put her in a tough spot. Does she say it? Does she not say it? And he bet on the idea that she wouldn't say it, and she wouldn't have. The only way that meeting we even knew about it was because of a Hispanic dude, a reporter, or somebody who was tipped off by a grounds crewman who said, this is weird. I saw Bill Clinton going to meet this jet, and the reporter's like, what? And he goes and finds out that Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton have this meeting. So you have that. But back to what I was going to say, because you guys are going, when's he going to get to the point, Kevin? Well, the point is this. When the Democrats know that there's too much going on, they manipulate the news cycle. That's what Barack Obama did. During his campaign, when McCain looked like he might win, Barack Obama and the left, they made the news cycle about the financial markets. So what they did is they made a few phone calls. The market crashed. Now, it didn't crash by accident. Some big money people took their money out, crashed it. McCain had said, well, the stock market's doing great. We're doing great in the economy. And next thing you know, boom, the media cycle changed. McCain was looked at as, he doesn't even know anything about the economics. But here's Barack Obama predicting we're not doing well. And there's McCain saying we are. And then the market crashes. But that's what they do. They hold this stuff. And for the record, they have scapegoats at the ready. If you don't believe, I know people think I'm kidding. The Democrats already have a list of names of people who they will feed to the media. The minute that these stories start to break against them, well, that's Susan Rice. We were telling you about her. And they'll start leaking information about a person. You can tell. But what they'll do is they'll change the media. And that's what they did. So in this particular case, they said to Mueller, look, your butt's on the line. You better do something. So Mueller says, well, this is all I got. I got Flynn. So Flynn goes out and he says what he says. Then you get this other guy, the media guy who gets fired for white privilege. Fired is what I called it, because he didn't get fired. He got put on probation for 4 weeks. So he comes out and says, there's proof that Flynn said this when Donald Trump was a candidate. And he's like, everybody's like, oh my gosh, smoking gun, smoking gun. And we'll get more into this story because I want to play a clip from The View on this. But anyway, so the cycle moves away. But here's what it is. It's going to come back. And it's just this quick subterfuge because they got to get us off of talking about racist Democrats and why they won't attack Al Franken. The industry of sexual predation by the left, it's an industry. Whether it's Hollywood, whether it's academia, whether it's companies they own, it doesn't matter. They make an industry of it. And I love these sex scandals. I love the drip of them. And I love knowing that more will come. There are more sexual predators who are leftist men than in this country than anywhere on the planet. And they are this way because they've been emasculated by the so-called women of the left, and they feel the need to get even. And you look at the psychology of mommy dearest type sons, the boys who grow up to be serial killers, and the daughters who grow up to be child abusers. That's who they had. They had bad parenting. And I'm telling you, the guys who grow up hating women, it's because their mothers were so overbearing. They wouldn't allow the man of the house to be the man of the house, and so on and so forth. Mark Simone tweeted this. Now, I think this is interesting. That's why I love the drip. After correctly predicting Charlie Rose and Matt Lauer, everyone keeps asking me who's next. Let's just say a very liberal late-night comedian talk show host. Hint, he's not on every night. Now, I was thinking about this, trying to figure out who's not on every night. Well, there's John Oliver. He's not on every night. And he's a big-time leftist. He's a Brit. And I don't even know if he's a citizen now, but who knows? But somebody else is going to take the fall, and we're going to get the drip. And don't think that it's gone, folks. This is not over. And neither is this show. Hang in there.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. So Kate Steinle, beautiful woman. Wow, she's just a lovely lady. And, you know the story. Walking with her dad down in San Francisco, Utopia, and an illegal living in Utopia at this, at the request of others out there. He finds a firearm, and somehow accidentally the gun goes off, ricochets, shoots Kate Steinle. Her dying words to her dad are, something like, I love you, Dad, help me, or something like that. I don't know what it was, but it was bad. And then they, go to trial, and obviously he's been found not guilty. And I get it. If you found a gun and you picked it up and it discharged because you were like, oh my gosh, we can't let a kid have this, and it discharged without you ever touching the trigger or something, I'd go, well, he didn't do anything. Of course, nobody would believe you, but I could see, something like that where we would go, or somebody saw it and said, I swear he picked it up by the barrel and it just went off. Okay. No harm, no foul. You saw it. You were going to, bring it to the authorities, make sure nobody else got it. That would be a normal thing to do. But this guy got the gun, looked around. Somebody said fired it in the air or something like that. Kills Kate Steinle and he gets off. And the sad part about it is, and I think this is what the outrage from most people is, that he was an illegal. Let's not even talk about deportation right now. But he was an illegal in this country, and he does the wrong thing. And citizens in what's called a sanctuary city, there is no such thing legally, but San Francisco wants to call itself that, at least for the time being. So those citizens have no power to go after somebody like this. Do you think the family of Kate Steinle can sue Zarete or whatever his name is and get anything? Of course not. He's got nothing. So their beautiful daughter dies, who has a beautiful future ahead of her, and they get nothing except loss. City doesn't care. The state doesn't care. So you have to wonder, what level of protection do you have as a citizen of the United States living in one of these so-called sanctuary cities? Which, for the record, we talked about this a while back. They paid an illegal $190,000 because his rights were violated when something happened. Like he got arrested and they held him because he was illegal. Some ridiculous thing. But he made $190,000. I don't know how long it takes you to make $190,000, but that would not make me happy. So that's what we have with this particular situation. Now, everybody's outraged. I mean, I'm on the Twitter feed. When the jury came out, somebody had sent me an email. Kevin, have you seen the Steinle verdict? And I was like, no, I haven't. And then, what is it? Not guilty for the, and I remember, I was like, what? They declared that guy not guilty? Seriously? I was like, how could that even possibly be? And of course, I looked up the story, and sure enough, it was true. And it's old news at this point. So he was found not guilty. But here's what's really interesting about this is it's a matter of perspective as to how you want to deal with this. And you're going, Kevin, come on now. There's no perspective on this. This guy should not be able to kill an American citizen, get away with it. Well, ICE issued a DOJ, somebody. They issued a warrant for his arrest for being here illegally. And what added insult to injury to this particular guy was he'd been deported 7 times. I heard 5. I've heard as few as 5, and I heard as many as 7. 7 times. So he's a 7-time criminal, 5 to 7-time criminal, sneaking back over into this country multiple times, and then doing something stupid. Because from a cultural standpoint, nobody picks up a gun and goes, shoot it, except a kid or an imbecile. That's it. Everybody else says, wow, this is not good. I'm going to pick this gun up. I'm going to make a phone call to the police and say, here it is. He has no excuse for saying, I was afraid to call the cops. What would they do to me? You're in the sanctuary city, so so-called. Nothing's going to happen to you. And by the way, that's one of the arguments of the left, is that the reason why you need to let these people come out of the shadows is because when they do, they're able to do the right thing. They will report on other people and report on crime because they feel like they're part of society. Well, that kind of pokes a hole in that argument. Now, we haven't gotten enough hay out of this thing where, and I said this to the Republicans, if there was ever a poster child for why you do not want illegals here, you just got it with Kate Steinle. I play a clip from a comedian, Patrice O'Neill, who says, the value of a white woman is how quick they'll go look for her when she disappears. Well, if Kate Steinle had disappeared, they go look for her right away because she's a beautiful lady. She wasn't like Victoria's Secret model beautiful, but she was really pretty. And so you have all the makings of it. This family girl walking with her dad. Were they with a baby or something, maybe? It was like the picture perfect thing to go after. And they blew it. But Donald Trump didn't. And what I'm going to say may seem a little crass. Some of the people, come on, Kevin, you can't go making things on a tragedy. This is a tragedy that was amplified in more cases to be a tragedy when Kate Steinle didn't get justice. So ironically, she may get more justice and America may get more from this in the miscarriage of justice than they would have had this guy gotten any type of punishment. Because now the spotlight goes back on the left. Now the defense attorney comes out and says, "Look, the jury saw everything and blah blah blah, and this is what the way it was, and they were given the letter of the law." Well, I don't care what you say. Nobody in America, not even the lowest common denominator citizen, goes, "You're talking about there's a jury in California that chose an illegal who had been here 5 to 7 times, and then he finds a gun and shoots it in there and shoots a lady, and he doesn't serve any time." Black folks are outraged. Are you following me? Are you tracking? White folks, see, when I talk about perspective, I want you to think about this from a different perspective. See, black people who are languishing in prison for things that they're going, man, that was nothing for me to catch a case. Ask the average black person, do they believe they could have gone to a park in San Francisco, picked up a gun, shot a beautiful white woman like Kate Steinle, and not serve prison time? Find me that Negro, please. Because I'm going to tell you something. That person doesn't exist. Black folks are looking at this going, that's crazy. Now you may go, "Kevin, come on now, you're taking advantage of this tragedy." Whatever. I'm telling you the way it is. I'm telling you what I would be doing with this tragedy. Because see, she's dead. The only thing that we could do at this point is try to convict the person that killed her. And I don't know all the legalities. I don't think he saw Kate Steinle and said, "I'm going to shoot that white chick right there." I think he did something really stupid, but the outcome of that stupidity was her death. Now, what else does it do? Because immediately Donald Trump says, we need to build this wall. Because if San Francisco is going to allow people to kill you willy-nilly, this is the time to do it. The death of Kate Steinle was the first thing. I remember the timing of it. I forget exactly when it happened, but I was thinking, because I think it was Trump, and Trump was saying something about immigration at the time. He wasn't president for sure, but he was running or had declared. And I remember thinking, wow, you couldn't ask for better timing for a dude to say, we don't need illegals. And then when it's coming back up, the wall, the whole thing, then suddenly they let the dude go who killed this girl. I'm thinking, wow, God shines. He shows his grace to Donald Trump and to America, because here again, people get to see how crazy leftism is when it goes unchecked. Now that's the perspective. That's why, as tragic as it is that they let this man go, it was so outrageous. It's reaching into the least common denominator. When Donald Trump talks about building a wall and protecting people, you better know he's going to bring up Kate Steinle. They're calling this wall the Kate Steinle wall, Steinle's law, things like this, where you cannot do what this guy does to a citizen. There's all kinds of people that are, chiming in on this. Some people even want legislation around it. That's how big this is. So, look, I know there's a lot in the news cycle right now, and this is going to go away in a short amount of time, but you can bet Donald Trump will not let it go away long term. You better know it. Neither should you, by the way. You should be looking at this story, and of course, they brought up Jamil Shaw. His son was killed by an illegal, I believe, in just shot. A stellar athlete that had gone to serve his country. He comes home, whatever, he gets killed. So the tragedy of Kate Steinle's death and the tragedy of what happened to her in the miscarriage of justice that let her killer go free is likely going to be the thing that builds the wall and reaches into the community that we normally don't reach in these issues.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Nancy Pelosi says that the sex scandals that are out there have set women back decades. Glad you're listening to the Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com, where you can find out more about us. And my book, Race Pimping, is perfect for this subject. Except it's gender pimping this time. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi. The sex scandals are setting us back. No, Nancy, women have been setting women back for decades. Did you know Matt Lauer's ex-wife accused him of cruel and inhumane behavior in 2006? I guess the media didn't catch up with that. And it's funny, they said of Representative John Conyers that he was being railroaded by white women. And one of the people that heard that responded back and says, well, then let her out of her NDA and we can see if he's being railroaded. He's claiming that he's being railroaded by white women, but he doesn't want to let them out of their non-disclosure agreements so that they can talk about it. And he can say, no, here's the evidence. Here's what she said. Here's what happened, blah, blah, blah. Here's my evidence against her, whatever. On a lighter note, as part of a rehab, Senator Al Franken has volunteered to give free breast exams at the Women's Sexual Addiction Clinic. Oh, man. I'm telling you, this stuff is interesting to me. And again, we got a lot to talk about, but I'm going to cover these sex scandals because the news doesn't want us to cover them. Matt Lauer. Do you hear the bad news about Matt Lauer? Did you guys hear this? Dude makes $28 million a year, and he wanted $30 million to end his contract, and they told him no. He's not getting the payout. Bad news, Matt. He's going to have to live on the $28 million that he's lived on for the last decade. That's what he makes per year. But here's what's interesting. In Manhattan, I'm not trying to make excuses for the dude, but that money doesn't go very far. Okay, so let's say this. After taxes, he's making, say, 16 mil, something like that. A lot of coin, but he's got a house in Sag Harbor, Long Island. He's got a place in the city. And, you can't live. It's not like I would live in New York where I give me like a little one-bedroom place. And, it'd be nice. If I made $5 million a year and I was in New York, I'd get a place that, say, was worth, I would just probably rent, honestly. But if I could afford it, I might buy a place for, $500,000, which would be a rat hole in New York. And I would only buy it with the idea that it's going to appreciate. But I'd deck it out on the inside. But on the outside, it would probably be a rat hole. But I wouldn't, like these people that get these $10 million. You remember the scene in, Wall Street, when Charlie Sheen starts making money, and then he's looking out the window, and this movie is like 1980 something, but he's looking out the window, and this Jewish lady selling the place, and she says it's $950,000, and then he's like, and she's like, look, the meter's running, you got to say something. And he goes, I'll take it, and it's got this great view and all this, and of course his girlfriend comes in and decks it out, and who knows what she charged him. But, I mean, you don't get much. That place in the 1980s was not. That place today is like $7 million. People go there and pay cash. So I don't know how, Matt Lauer's living large. But, man, so they didn't give him his $30 million. Oh, man. He's not going to get his payout. No one could understand, I'm reading this, why his blushing bride had her dashing husband on such a tight leash. This is an article I was reading about Matt Lauer, who, as it turns out, has a pretty bad reputation. Now, here's what they say. 5 weeks after the Chic Hamptons wedding in 1998, former model Annette Roque kicked up such a fuss on hearing that Matt Lauer was heading to Florida to cover a space shuttle launch for the Today Show that NBC staffers had to scramble to get her a set of last-minute pass credentials so her husband would never be out of her sight. What I find interesting, funny about these things is how many people notice, but they dismiss it or they don't seem to care. it's like the dude who goes out and shoots up his his old where he was employed, and everybody goes, I never thought Charles would do that. But it was strange that he would always be cleaning his guns on the front porch and shooting squirrels. He wouldn't shoot them physically, but he would aim the gun and go, pow, pow, pow. And you didn't find that strange. It's like, where do these people come from? Friends of Lauer are stunned that the down-to-earth newsman is suddenly catering to such indulgent whims, was reported at the time. Offers one insider, he's whipped. Yeah, his model woman girlfriend is whipped. But in hindsight, Roque, now 52, simply may have been trying to rein in her new husband's wandering eye, a problem that 2 decades later would cost him his job. People knew. We showed that clip of Lauer, was showed it when I say that on the website. It was Lauer, and he was talking. No, it was Katie Couric, and she says of Lauer that he used to grab their butts. And what's funny about it is, I am kind of defending this. There are people like for example, I have friends I went to college with that are females. And if we were playing grab ass in the office, it would just be innocent stuff. It would be no big deal because we knew each other in college, Or if a woman that I know I grew up with and she comes up and slaps you on the butt and says, yeah, Kevin, get your butt to work or whatever, I wouldn't think anything of it. But we have to now. So Katie Couric didn't seem to be any worse for wear. But here's what's interesting about that. Katie Couric, if she didn't like Matt Lauer, I don't mean trying to have a sexual relationship, but I'm saying if she just wasn't friendly with him, needless to say, they'd be reporting each other on it. You get what I'm saying? But because they're friendly, it's okay. So I think what most people would say, well, Kevin, if everybody can't go up and pat Katie on the butt, then Matt Lauer shouldn't be able to do it either. Because if I see Matt Lauer pat Katie on the butt, I'll be like, right, look at Katie all cute and, she don't care about nobody patting on the butt. So, we might be like homeboys on our whole college football teams and, get a little carried away and I might spank that butt, And next thing you know, I'm getting fired. Brother getting fired. Matt's going, hey, white privilege. You can't go spanking on a white woman's butt, Kev. And I'm like, who knew it was about a white woman? I just saw the butt. I saw you do it, Matt. And Matt's like, I got it going on. So I get it. I get that people want uniformity. But Katie didn't seem to mind. Now, other people might. And see, I was having this discussion with friends of mine over the weekend going, where do you draw the line? We play this joke a little bit where the guy says, if I ask a woman out, she's like reporting me to HR as a stalker, but Brad Pitt could stand naked in front of her window, messing with his beard hairs or something, and she would be like, oh, he was so thoughtful, or, it was so romantic. And it's so true. Anyway, so I'm going to go back to this article. They said, Rogue, perhaps the most overlooked victim in this sordid Matt Lauer scandal, is now reportedly hiding from the press in the Hamptons, as many wonder if she'll finally free herself from a disastrous marriage that has been an open secret in media for years. So, look, I'm not moralizing about Matt Lauer's relationship. There's a new relationship category in a lot of places. It's complicated, and I get it. It's complicated for a lot of people, including conservatives. But to go out and, with this, and again, I can only go on what people are saying. But if Matt Lauer is anything close to what they're saying, it's like Weinstein. If he's just a fraction of what we know about him, he's a pretty bad guy. If Matt Lauer's, got this horrible life in terms of his marriage, and he's living in town, because I know he's got a place in New York, in the city in Manhattan, and then his wife's out in the Hamptons with the kids, and they've kind of lived this separate existence, and Matt's like, I'm dating and asking women out or whatever. Who's going to be, why can you be mad at him? That's what they've got going. But anyway, I just find it interesting that people know now the little dirt starts to come out, and suddenly the left wants to close this off. Because, see, this involves media people, which also it's also tied to politics.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What's up, everybody? Kevin Jackson here. We are talking about perspective today. That's right, perspective. Because you know what? Everything changes when you look at it from a different perspective. And the question you got to be asking yourself is, who is having to change their perspective the most? Think about it this way. What was the perception, if you will, of Barack Obama in 2008? He was a god. But you know what the left got over the next 8+ years? They got perspective. They got the ability to take what they had been force-fed about Barack Obama and take it from a theoretical and put it into an actual application, and they got beat down. Taxes went up. The price of food went up. The price of gasoline went up. The Democrats themselves lost offices in 2010, in 2012, in 2014, and ultimately the presidency in 2016. I mean, what perspective do you need? We could go person by person, and I can tell you the idea of what they thought Barack Obama was, the idea of what they thought Hillary Clinton was, the idea of what they thought Bill Clinton was, have all changed. You want to know bigger picture? The idea of what the Democrats represent has changed. The idea of the DNC's role in politics has changed. The idea of what the FBI represents has changed. All these things. Name me a Democrat whose perspective, the average person's perspective has changed positively for that Democrat. Name me one. Is Susan Rice more respected? You might go with Donna Brazile. Why? Because she's part of the people who leaked what was really going on with the DNC. But being honest with you, she didn't change. Most of them, I'm telling you, 99.9% of them got worse. Worse. Worser. I would hear black people say it was worser. Well, I guess that's kind of, you can use that word. But anyway, look, the point is, the perspective has changed. Now, let's go to Donald Trump. As much as they try to convince you that the perspective of Donald Trump is negative, don't believe it. I'll ask you, most of the people that are listening to my voice, when you heard that Donald Trump was going to run for president, you did as I did and said, what? Please. He's not serious. He's not going to declare. And he declared. when he declared, most of the people listening to my voice went, man, this is just a mockery. He's not going to really be serious about it. He's not going to make a go of it. Nothing's going to happen of it. And it did. Most of us, even when Donald Trump was in 20 points and whatever else, he was the leader, we all looked at each other and went, yeah, but it's not going to last. And it did. Then he became the Republican candidate, and the majority of us out there, I wasn't one of them, this is where I have to depart, but most of the people were like, man, he's not going to win. He can't win. And he won. And then many people, there were never, I don't know how many, but there were never Trumpers. And of course, all of the left said, he's not going to be effective. He's a crazy man. He's going to blow us up. He's going to nuke everybody, blah, blah, blah. He's a, crazy dude. And he changed their mind. So let me ask you this. What do you think of the perspective of the folks, of those people with relationship to Donald Trump? You think they still believe he's bad? I'm just telling you, look at the people. The ardent supporters of Donald Trump have not backed down. I don't care what they tell you. You might have a small percentage, but it's going to be less than 2%. But of that percentage, 15, 20%, or maybe more, that weren't for Trump, what do you think they're looking at now? You think they give a crap about the stock market? You think they give a crap about consumer confidence? You think these business leaders and these business owners and these small businesses and the people who are struggling to pay for their medical care and looking for answers from Trump are starting to go, you know what? I like this guy. Have they changed their perspectives? What do you think those people, and there were many of them, some of them I'm talking to right now, you voted for Barack Obama. You may have even supported Hillary Clinton. You may have believed in our justice system. What do you think? Has your perspective changed? You know what's funny? Right now, Robert Mueller is investigating Donald Trump for relation to this deal with Russia. The minute Mike Flynn says he's going to turn over evidence, and I'm going to start talking to Mueller, the left go crazy. Ooh, we're winning. The right start to waver. Oh my gosh, I don't know what's going to happen. And the funny part of all of it, the outcome is exactly what happens every single time the left gets themselves all frothing at the mouth over the idea that Donald Trump's going to be impeached or there's going to be some connection with the Russians. As many times as he said it that there isn't, they go bananas. Many of you get scared because you haven't gone through complete warrior training. So you're scared. And what happens? It implodes on the left. So what do we have? We've got ABC's Brian Ross, who reported misinformation, erroneous information that had the left just woo. And what did ABC have to do? Retract it. And we'll go more into that in just a second. But here's the other fallout that's a little less known. Mueller has had to fire one of his FBI agents. Why? Because he was texting anti-Trump messages. So in his investigation to find out about Donald Trump, when the the Inspector General looked at one of the investigators, he found out that this guy is anti-Trump. He's tweeting anti-Trump stuff. Now, remember when everybody was going, Kevin, why is Donald Trump allowing Mueller to put all these anti-Trump people on the investigation? Because you are going to work yourself into the death spiral. Think about it this way. How many people do you know that have been fired over Facebook? Well, guess what? All these anti-Trumpers, all these I donated to Hillary people have a history. And you're going to watch these guys. The other guy's name is like Peter Zorak or something. I can't pronounce it. He needs to buy a vowel. But you'll find out more about this. These are the people that Donald Trump is saying, go ahead, pick them. Because you know what you're going to do? You're going to torpedo yourselves. Folks, wake up. This dude is smarter than he looks. And so am I. We'll be back.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful four-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
I am so happy to have a president who knows what he's doing and who does not cater to media pressure. Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. In fact, Donald Trump not only does not cater to media pressure, he puts the pressure back on the media. You got to love this. Fake news media. Well, we knew the media was, crooked, whatever, call it whatever you want. But it was never really put into a term that has become practically synonymous with every single leftist media outlet. Fake news. NBC, fake news. New York Times, fake news. Washington Post, fake news. The Hill, fake news. You name it. CNN, fake news. And the reason why that is now emblazoned in the lexicon of political discussion now is because of Donald Trump. And here's the thing. Fake news is not associated with Breitbart, the Daily Caller. They called us the alt-right. When is the last time you've heard the term alt-right? You follow me? There was a time when the left put something on you, it stuck with you. We were the religious right and whatever else. The alt-right was what they tried to do. They wanted to make Breitbart. You guys, we're not going back that far. Come on, dust off the cobwebs. Alt-right was Breitbart. Steve Bannon, part of the alt-right. But that's gone. But you know what isn't gone? And it is not going to go away. Not in the next election cycle. Not in the one after that. Not leading up to 2020. Fake news. And now people look at all the news that's out there and they go, nah, it was on CNN, it was on MSNBC. Now, the left, they say, Fox is fake news. Donald Trump says Fox is the only news source that's actually giving you the real deal. Now, I don't like everybody at Fox, but at least it is fair. It gives you a perspective, and they give the left. I mean, look, I've debated many of these leftists. They at least get a chance to spit out their nonsense. But go to MSNBC or CNN if you have a little time to waste and you want to get it back, and listen to these guys. It's just a litany of people that bash. They don't have true conservatives. They have a person who is conservative light who'll come in every now and then and go, well, that's not totally true. And they're like, shut up. And then, okay, well, you're right. They're all weak. But Fox has people that come over screaming and yelling and all that, and they let them, okay, fine, come on in, check it out. We want to hear the views. So what it's doing is, this is ultimately lending credibility to Fox little by little. By the way, this is what's keeping the Murdoch sons in check, because these guys are not it's not like these guys are staunch conservatives. So the Murdoch guys can't say, well, look, let's do a complete makeover of Fox, and we're going to do it in the vein of CNN or whatever. Can't do it unless you don't care about your daddy's money. So Donald Trump's keeping one media source, at least moderate, and telling everybody else, don't even believe the other side. And it's proving itself out time and time again. And just the other day, ABC announced that their chief investigative correspondent, Brian Ross, going to be suspended for 4 weeks without pay over the botched exclusive about former National Security Advisor Mike Flynn. Now, Ross does a live special report. This is last Friday. And he reported that Flynn would testify that Donald Trump ordered him to make contact with Russians about foreign policy while Donald Trump was still a candidate. Now, if he had done that, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily wrong for Trump to do that, because he could say, look, I'm a candidate. I want to know what's going on in Russia. I want to be able to speak to it, in an intelligent way. So he could do that. But if it had been done with the idea that he was going to influence anything, or, anything that theoretically would violate the Logan Act, well, then Trump could theoretically be in trouble. So the idea was that Trump had indeed reached out, and it was the implication was it was in regards to influencing the election or influencing policy that was in play during the time of Barack Obama. So that was how they led up to it. And just in doing that, the stock market plummeted. It lost 350 points. And you guys have heard me talk about this over the last few days. Well, over the last week a little bit, that any implication, like when they were talking, oh, Flynn's going to be under testimony, all of a sudden people are like, oh, Donald Trump's in big trouble. He's in big trouble. And I'm telling you guys, he's not in big trouble. He's not in any trouble at all. I've written 3 pieces explaining how Donald Trump is not in any more trouble he's not in any trouble at all. And people are like, I don't know, Kevin. I don't know. Well, he's not. So later in the day, ABC issued a, quote, clarification to Ross's report, saying that Donald Trump's alleged directive came after he'd been elected president. So he was then president-elect. Ross then came on World News Tonight several hours after his initial report in order to clarify the, quote, error. Now, here's what's interesting. It's a huge error because, one, clearly puts Donald Trump into the scope of the not a crooked investigation, but again could expand the scope to say, did he violate the Logan Act, which means he can't go interfering into the actual work of the real president, or does he? Is it a big nothing burger, as they like to say these days? So what do you think happens? It's a big nothing burger. So in a statement, ABC News said Ross's report had, quote, not been fully vetted through our editorial standards process. Really? They went on to say this: it is vital we get the story right and retain the trust we have built with our audience. These are our core principles. We fell far short of that yesterday. Now, look, I'm glad they did the mea culpa. Congratulations. But they knew it was wrong. But you know what? Let's look at it in the right perspective. They got it wrong. It's national news. Donald Trump calls them fake news. And what did they do? They obliged. They obliged. We can look at it's terrible, because everybody does. It's terrible. Look at what they did. It's just awful. We now know what they're trying to create. So what does it mean? It means that Donald Trump's going to come out the other end clean, because he will. Trust me, he will. But what it also means is he proves yet again they are liars. they abandoned their editorial standards, their core principles in order to fit the narrative. They allowed that to occur. So every time you hear these guys, every time you see them, you will remember this. There will be muscle memory going into 2018, going into 2020. This muscle memory is what the left have abandoned. They believe their Alinsky tactics are going to hurt us, but they are crushing themselves. They are imploding on themselves. This is great news. I'm glad they missed it. See, because them missing it, they can miss it all they want in the media. The facts are not going to be missed in an investigation. When Trump says, I didn't look at what his actual testimony was. He didn't say I did it during the time of my candidacy.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Oh my goodness, I love watching the left. I love watching them squirm. We're going to talk a lot more about the exuberance these people have felt over the Flynn investigation and how it's gone over. Let me just tell you, you're going to have a lot of laughs over the next 7 years, and then even going forward. Because the one thing that I think Donald Trump will do that I can't see other people doing, I don't think other presidents have done this to the degree that Donald Trump will do it. I think Trump will start handpicking successors for himself after the fact. I think he'll say something like, as it gets closer to the end of his term, he will start to tout people that helped him, that got it, that understand this is the way you have to go about this. You better be fearless in your defending of whatever it is that you want. And then let me tell you something else you're going to watch. You're going to watch these guys start to tweet. You're going to watch them start their now Ted Cruz is already doing it. Ted Cruz got it right after President Trump beat everybody and started making friends. Ted Cruz started using Twitter that way. I don't know who's going to do it, but I'm going to tell you, whoever's going to be the follow-on to President Trump, and it won't be a leftist, is going to be somebody who gets the social media aspect of what Donald Trump does and starts mimicking his style. They're going to get away from this politics as usual thing. They're going to start speaking in plain talk, and they're actually going to reference him. They're going to say things like, if there's anything that I learned over the last 8 years, is how the American people no longer want politics to be about speeches and pretty talk and all that. They want reality. They want you to be real. And I'm going to certainly take that lesson from our predecessor who has left us with an amazing economy, blah, blah, blah. And they're going to start extolling his virtues. And whoever does that is going to be the next president of the United States after Trump's second term. It's that simple. Now, I've already called it. I'm telling you, watch for the signs. Watch as people start to tweet. Watch as they start to attack the naysayers. Watch as they quit running from attackers, and backtracking on things and saying, yeah, I said that, and moving on and being more bold. And you watch yourself. You watch the conservative movement over the next 7 years as they migrate into that point of strength from a point of weakness, no longer taking this, the punches from the left. Oh, yeah, look at Donald Trump. He's under investigation. Let me tell you, the first thing that I said, and they said, oh, Flynn's going to testify. I went, so what? Big deal. What's he going to say that's going to come? What's going to come out of that man's mouth that's going to be more of an indictment of Donald Trump than anything that we already know about Hillary Clinton, or know about Barack Obama, or know about Bill Clinton, or know about Loretta Lynch and Susan Rice and Valerie Jarrett and John Podesta and all the other crooks on their side? What could he possibly say that's going to make me go, oh, he called a meeting with Russia? Well, geez, look at what he did. So that supersedes selling 20% of our uranium to Russia, cutting yourself $143 million deal to your foundation, $20 million to your compadre, John Podesta, and we're supposed to look the other way? Oh, I get it. Yeah, sure. I see how that influenced the election and how he got elected. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, there was nothing Flynn could say. And let me tell you, the unflinching conservatism is what you're hopefully being taught. Think of it as friendship. You've got friends. So something happens in your life. You get accused of something. And your friends go, oh, well, that's what I kind of knew him. I mean, it wasn't like we were friends. And you're staying over at my house every other weekend and hanging out at the pool and eating my food and stuff. I have a little bit of do I know him? Yeah, of course I know the man. But I mean, it's not like, really? Is that your friend? So I become embroiled in some controversy and you go, well, I don't know. Or you go, you know what? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Until you give me something more, I'm not believing that. I know the guy. Because let me tell you what I would do as a friend. I'd call you up and I go, look, this is what's happening and this part of it's true, this part of it's not. Whatever. Because I'm not going to let you have to hang on to friendship. But I wouldn't anticipate you leaving me as a friend. If my friends get into trouble, Kevin, listen, I can tell you a couple of stories about that. I won't, but somebody calls you up and says, look, man, here's what you're going to hear. And I'm going to tell you something. This is the truth. And I go, wow, man, it's so sad to hear that. What made you go that route? Well, man, I got a little desperate here, whatever. All right, man. Well, let me know what we can do to help. We'll be praying for you. That's what I'd say. I wouldn't be like, oh, dude, I got to disavow you. And, how am I going to tell people I know you now? I got my reputation here. So think about what is the definition of a friend. The media is fake. These people are frauds. And the minute Mike Flynn Mike Flynn's going to testify, people are freaking out. What are they going to say? If there's something, is it going to make me have to disavow Trump? Really? So your stock market is up 30%. You just bought a fatter house, got a better job. Mama's moved back in and the dog even likes you now. And you're ready to dump the dude. Are you people out of your mind? I mean, come on. Wake up to what's going on in the world around you. All the fake crap that's out there. And learn to put a little bit of trust in a guy who's been nothing but upfront with you. Donald Trump is a socialist. He's just like the Democrats. He spends more money on Democrats. No, he doesn't. Told you that. He says, no, I give money to people, the mayors of these cities where I got to do work. Yeah, but I've been donating to Republicans. Donald Trump is a womanizer. Donald Trump is a racist. Donald Trump is this. And every time Donald Trump's like, whatever, shut up. And y'all, many people out there, conservatives, ready to go for it. The minute the left says it, the minute that they feel like, oh, it's too controversial for me to stay with him, the dude tells you the truth. I remember when he said look, I'm not pro-abortion, I'm pro-choice, but look, it's not my choice, but I don't want women to have abortions. He said that. I watched him say that, and people are, he's completely this, that. And what did he do? He gets into office, and he's been the most pro-life president to date. He told you every single thing he was going to do, and for the most part, he's executed against it. The only thing that he didn't do right away was indict Hillary Clinton. But guess what? In its own strange way, it's all coming back around. How about we grow up, grow a pair, man up? Yeah, I said it. I'm telling women too, man up. Understand what we're up against and stop looking to run for the hills every time something comes up. Because you know what happens? It always invariably ends up hurting the Democrats. Right now, these guys are chasing their tails on a Russian witch hunt. And right now, and Mueller is in bigger trouble than it ever before. There is no reason why Mueller should still be on this case. And Trump's just saying, let him go. If he doesn't want to recuse himself, watch what happens. You think this man is stupid? He knows this thing is going to circle right back around on Mueller. It's already got one of his guys, Peter Zorzak or whatever. I don't know the guy's name, but he's an FBI agent who Mueller had to fire. It got one of their journalists. Do you think there aren't others? What did this Russia story do? CNN had to fire 2 people because they were creating a narrative. How many others do we know about? All this, the talk of sexual assault and all that. Who's the fodder? Who's right now engaged to be fired over all this stuff? John Conyers, Grijalva. There's another guy, I can't remember his name, a Hispanic dude, Al Franken, and there will be others. And when they release this report, there will be more. Hollywood, taking a hit. Every one of these Holly weirdos, that complete, avowed, unadulterated leftists are in the crosshairs. And you know who's right there with them? Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, all these leftist politicians. And you think Trump's worried? And now we got Bill Clinton. He's not only embroiled in sex scandals on Epstein's private plane and how many trips did he actually make on a Air Blank One and all kinds of other stuff. He's back in the news on that. He's back in the news because the real investigation around the tarmac meeting proves that Bill Clinton ambushed Loretta Lynch on the tarmac at Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport so that he could put her on the hot seat. We're going to go into that in a minute. I'm going to give you a little bit of it now, but they said that Lynch sweated when Bill Clinton entered her plane. And she had a reason to. Because aside from the potential for sexual assault, Bill Clinton was there for answers. And to influence her as a former president, that's still a pretty big deal. Not to mention he's a Clinton, and they will kill you. So we're going to answer the questions of that when we get back.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here, author of Race Pimping. You can get my book at racepimping.com. Also, 844-551-8255 if you want to call the show. And kjradio.com if you want to get the show on demand 24/7 anytime you want. You hear something you like, just go there. It'll be there at kjradio.com. So the one thing I will give the left is these people are loyal to a fault. They don't care what you've done. You could have, they could catch Bill Clinton partying with sheep, and I'm using the word partying with my finger quotes, and they wouldn't care. Barack Obama he could be in a gay relationship in the middle of Times Square, and Van Jones made the comment, they wouldn't care. Hillary Clinton, you can't be more crooked. You can't have more revelations about the crooked nature of this woman and her family, including Chelsea, and all the intermingling of the DNC and the, going after Bernie and all the other presidential candidates and getting questions fed to her by Donna Brazile during debates and all this. You can't find a more crooked group of people, and leftists are like, but we love them. We love them, man. Leave us alone. They're so good to us. Just stop it. I love him, Daddy. It's funny. It is so funny to watch. But the flip side of that is that we as conservatives, we are very quick to abandon because we're principled. Dang it, he cannot go do that. What's that? He grabbed him by the what? Well, there you go. I can't support a man who would dare take advantage of his position as a billionaire where women would throw themselves at him. He's a good-looking guy. And then women that allow him to grab him by the, I can't support a guy like that. I'm a church-going fella that used to do the very same thing and probably would be. The people that all act all sanctimonious about that is because they're never going to be billionaire playboys. It's easy to say when you're never going to be it. Oh, I would have all kinds of restraint. Give one of those clowns, just anybody that says that, give them $1 million of money that's free to play with that mama doesn't know about. Okay? Doesn't know about. And watch them. Watch them, man. They have this thing that the Amish kids do. I think they get to be 17. They leave and they go and see the world. And these kids go buck wild. That's what would happen to the average dude. 98% of conservative men who got a free $1 million with nobody to look at it would be out there going bananas. Okay? Now, I don't know what that entails. Some people might just buy a couple of Ferraris and cruise around and let all the chicks look at them. Other people, whatever your indulgence is, you get a free $1 million to do it. It's not going to impact your life. No reputation ruined, whatever. And you could just indulge. You think these guys are going to donate that money to the church? Or you think a few of them are going to hit the casino? A few of them are going to go, drive fancy cars and chase a few women or whatever else. So look, don't act all sanctimonious out there, fellas. Don't misunderstand me. I love you. I think the majority of us would hold ourselves in some level of restraint. But don't try to get it twisted and act as if we don't understand it. So put yourself in that situation and ask yourself, you're a billionaire playboy and that's it? That's all they got? That he says women will allow him to grab him by the... Oh, really? I'm sitting there going, it was like when they were saying Tiger Woods, had 7 mistresses and I went, I don't know Tiger Woods' political bent, but he's a young, good-looking dude that's in the top of his craft where, people throw him. So, and my first comment was, that's it? The dude is a billionaire. Don't misunderstand me. He never should have married Elon or whatever her name is if he was going to go do all the philandering. But I'm just saying, it didn't surprise this brother that was it. I mean, that there weren't dozens more. And maybe there are. But that's all they found. And by the way, Tiger was golfing over the weekend, and he looked good. For those of you who are golf guys, he looked good. Anyway, I want to go back to the left holding on to this vestige of, whatever they think their party represents. They know it's a party of scoundrels, but they rationalize it. Well, Bill Clinton may have done that, but that's been litigated. Oh, okay. So there's a statute of limitations on rape and sexual abuse with former presidents and, who do crazy things to interns and other women, but there's not for anybody else, right? There isn't for Roy Moore. There isn't for Donald Trump. When we're talking about things that happened decades ago, there's no statute of limitations for them. They treat you like the IRS. They treat conservatives like the IRS, where if you want to get your money back, you got a 3-year window. If they want to get their money back, they can get you anytime. Well, guess what? It doesn't work that way. Anyway, this investigation about Bill Clinton and all this shenanigans with the Russians and when the FBI was investigating Hillary Clinton, it's all going to come back to hurt these people. Because the FBI released the flight records or something, and they find out Bill Clinton essentially ambushed Lynch on the tarmac at Sky Harbor Airport in Phoenix. And what it showed was there was an intelligence breach within the FBI who alerted Bill Clinton as to where Lynch would be so he could stalk her. And that's what he did. And sources say that Lynch was taken aback and physically shaken by Clinton, his seemingly impromptu meeting on the tarmac that happened on June 27th of 2016. And that's an important date. June 27th. The Clinton narrative of that meeting had been that Bill and Lynch met by happenstance. Their jets landed and was like, Whoa, isn't that Loretta Lynch's jet? My goodness, that's Bill Clinton's plane. They said that Bill Clinton was in Phoenix on a scheduled stop to meet with Latino leaders in order to stump for his wife, who, as you guys know, was obviously running for president. Federal law enforcement sources believe that Bill Clinton's jet was chartered from Teterboro Airport in northern New Jersey the morning of the infamous tarmac meeting. And that's a problem because originally Loretta Lynch was due to be there on the 28th and not the 27th. So how did Bill get this information? In his book, Guilty as Sin, Edward Klein claims that officials in the Obama administration decided before the first witness was interviewed that Hillary Clinton would not face prosecution, she's getting persecuted, over the handling of classified emails. And here's an excerpt. Bill Clinton's private jet was cleared for takeoff and was taxiing towards the runway at Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport when a Secret Service agent informed him that Loretta Lynch's plane was coming in for a landing. "Don't take off," Bill barked. As his plane skidded to a halt and then headed back to its parking place, Bill grabbed the phone and called an old friend, one of his most trusted legal advisors. Bill said, "I want to bushwhack Loretta," the advisor recalled. "I'm going to board her plane. What do you think?" And I said, "There's no downside for you, but she's going to take a pounding if she's crazy enough to let you on that plane." But according to Ed Klein, Bill Clinton had every intention of bushwhacking Lynch. And the article continued. It was June 27, 2016, 1 year into the FBI investigation into Clinton's emails. He knew it would be a huge embarrassment for Loretta when people found out that she talked to the husband of a woman, the presumptive nominee of the Democratic Party who was under criminal investigation by the FBI, but he didn't give a dang. He wanted to intimidate Loretta and discredit FBI Director James Comey's investigation of Hillary's emails, which was giving Hillary's campaign agita, I guess, angst. Bill hung up the phone and turned to the secret agent. "As soon as her plane lands," he said, "get the Attorney General on the phone and say the president would like to have a word with her." The president. Once inside Lynch's plane, Bill turned on the Clinton charm. He gave Lynch's shoulder an affectionate squeeze and shook hands with her husband, Stephen Hargrove. Bill said he could tell that Loretta knew from the get-go that she'd made a huge mistake. This is according to the advisor. She was literally trembling, shaking with nervousness. Her husband tried to comfort her, but he kept patting her hand and rubbing her back. Bill made small talk, grandchildren, golf, former Attorney General Janet Reno, kept at it for nearly half an hour. Didn't make any difference what they talked about. All he wanted to do was send a message to everyone at the Justice Department and the FBI that Hillary had the full weight of the Clinton machine, the Democratic Party, and the White House behind her. It was clearly torturous for Loretta. Bill told me later that he noticed there were beads of sweat on her upper lip. Now, so Ed Klein is essentially saying that Bill was about to take off and then Lynch's plane landed. Well, either way, somebody tipped him off that she was there and it's supposed to be, confidential information. So it remains the same. Now, I'm curious as to how this is all going to play out in Mueller's investigation.
He
because
won't
supposedly
stop until he's the
FBI
top-rated radio
have
talk
Bill
show host in
Clinton's plane,
America.
and all the other stuff. So let's see what happens. I don't have any other
Kevin
answers for you
Jackson Radio
except to
Show.
say that I am curious, and I do know that meeting wasn't impromptu. Something happened. Short break. We'll be back in just a bit.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What's up, everybody? Kevin Jackson here. I hope you had a great weekend. KJRadio.com is where you can find out more about us. Get the show on demand 24/7, and I hope you do. And I hope you share those clips. The way we do the show is we have the incomplete show you can listen to. You can listen to it live by going there any time when it is time for it to be on. But if you don't, then you can listen to it by segments. We have 4 segments per hour, so there's a total of 12 segments in the entire show. So 13 things are uploaded every single day for the show. So if you want to only hear a segment that you heard, well, for hour 2, segment 1, you can go get it. That's how we allow you to grab the show, share it to others, and I hope you will, because we certainly need the exposure, because that's what we do. We are a messaging company, and you're part of that message. The reason why you're here is somebody likely told you about us. So do the same for them. And I'm not doing it self-servingly. I don't care. You know, it's like when I taught martial arts at a corporate, when I worked at a corporation, and there was one class where 3 or 4 people showed up. I can't remember how many, but it was about that many. And one of the guys said to me, his name is Bill. He says, Kevin, he says, Mr. Jackson, he goes, what do you do if nobody shows up? And I said, I teach the walls, meaning I work out. I don't care if you guys show up. They pay me to do this. So if you don't show up, don't show up. Most of the time, the classes had 30, 35 people, but occasionally, maybe it was a holiday weekend, people wouldn't show up. What do? I do what I do. So I don't care whether 4 people are getting the message or 4 million are getting the message, or it's just me reinforcing who I am. So that's the way I approach it. Do we want more people to learn? Yes, when I was teaching martial arts, I wanted more people to learn my style so that they could go out and protect themselves and be good human beings and so on and so forth. But if you want to learn, great. If you don't worry about it. I'm still going to be out here doing what I do. And that's just the truth. Now, am I tired of doing it and waiting on somebody else to, hey, Kevin, we recognize your talent? Sure, everybody gets tired of that. My talent is, I don't mean this in a bragging way, but, look, I've been doing this long enough I'm not going to try to impress anybody. Executives will call me, so Kevin, here's what we do at our radio network. And I go, well, fantastic. So, where would I sit is all I need to know. I don't need to hear your resume. And I'll be honest with you, I think that probably rubs some people the wrong way, but I don't, I wish I could tell you I cared, because maybe I'd be sitting in one of those seats. But I don't. All I care about is the people who are committed to this effort the way I am. Let's do it. I was thinking today about how the left treats Donald Trump. And it's just a matter of perspective, but I want people to understand that perspective is important. So Brian Ross actually did the president and the conservative movement a big favor. He validated that leftist news outlets only care about outcomes fitting their narratives. And if you don't know who Brian Ross is, he works for ABC, and he puts a story out there that says Donald Trump, told Flynn to contact the Russians. And of course, that sent the left on oh my goodness, they went crazy. Let's play that Joy Behar clip.
Welcome back to the show.
Breaking news.
Oh, my God. Oh, breaking news. ABC News' Brian Ross is reporting Michael Flynn promised full cooperation to the Mueller team and is prepared to testify that as a candidate, Donald Trump directed him to make contact with the Russians.
Joy, I think I'd file that under breaking fake news. So she's celebratory. The left are celebratory. You saw the audience of The View. Yeah. Trained seals clapping at whatever. And don't think for 1 second The View is going to come back on and go, the breaking news thing that Joy did, well, that's no longer breaking news. It was kind of wrong news. Anyway, Ross was quickly found out, and now President Trump, who got dumped in crap, emerges in a tux smelling like a rose. Yeah, hey, looking good, am I not? So consider that every time the left cries foul, the public becomes more and more immune to these tales of woe. Recall, the left predicted the economy would crater under Trump. And what did we end up experiencing? The lowest unemployment figures in decades, actually. Consumer confidence through the roof. You guys heard me talk about the record Black Friday numbers, the record Cyber Monday numbers. And I predict the most brisk shopping season in a decade. I know, psychic, right? Wow, Kevin, you're amazing at how amazing, I know it sounds trite to even have to go into that, because you now know, I'm not teaching you anything to say, yeah, Kevin, we all know it's going to be a great economy over Christmas. And you know what else is going to happen? Let me tell you. In January, when they adjust the jobs numbers to show that we had overemployment because of the seasonal work, and they readjust to go back to regular jobs, Donald Trump will have the jobs ready to fill those for people that want jobs. And you're not going to be hearing about, we need a livable wage. We need $15 an hour. When's the last time you heard somebody screaming for $15 an hour minimum wage? Oh, will it come back? Sure it will. But when kids have to have jobs too, because that's how you build your economy, is by getting these kids with entrepreneur. Think about what happens when we're killing the entrepreneur because we say you're going to have to pay these kids $31,000. So you don't even have a new branch of a new group of entrepreneurs coming up because they don't know how to work. The reason why you put kids to work early is so they learn work ethic. They learn what it takes to run a business, that it's not as simple as just getting a paycheck. And that's what makes them appreciated going through. That's what makes conservatives. So when you kill that, you're killing capitalism and you're killing conservatism. The left knows it. Anyway, they predicted all kinds of dire stuff, things that were going to happen. Donald Trump returns from Asia, $250 billion trade package for the United States, got the Chinese to drop tariffs from 17.3% to 7.7% on an average of by average, I should say, on 187 products, and not a peep from the media. But wait until Mr. Dow hears about it. And let's not forget about bringing home those 3 black basketball thieves in the process. Now, how racist was that, right? Again, another leftist narrative blown. Mind blown, folks. That's what we're going to do.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. So, President Trump scored a victory last week when a federal judge refused to block his choice to temporarily run the nation's top consumer financial watchdog. And it ended the battle for the leadership of this particular agency known as the CFPB. Judge Timothy Kelly declined to stop President Trump from putting Mick Mulvaney in place as the acting director of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Now, you know, if you're not following politics and you don't think about this type of stuff on a day-to-day basis, you probably don't even know what that thing does. What is the CFPB? And I've been dying to talk about this because this is a huge story. It's bigger than you can even imagine. So in doing so, Judge Kelly ruled against a lady named Leandra English, who was the Bureau's deputy director. Now, Leandra English had requested an emergency restraining order to stop Mulvaney from becoming the acting director. Now, Mulvaney and English had claimed to be the rightful director because they were citing different reasons. Obviously, Mulvaney was appointed by the president, and English, this is Leandra English, she said that Richard Cordray resigned and appointed her as his successor, who would take over the Bureau on an interim basis. Now, the judge's ruling isn't the final decision, but in making his decision, he said English had not shown a substantial likelihood that she eventually would succeed on the merits of her case. But his decision is not immediately appealable. Now, here's what this whole CFPB is about. The Dodd-Frank Act made the CFPB's unelected director the single most powerful official in the entire government other than the United States. The CFPB was strategically staffed from top to bottom with Democrats for the DNC to use as a donation slush fund. Now, that's the part you don't know about this. It sounds like Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Well, that sounds like it's going to protect us. Which should have been your first clue that it had nothing to do with helping you as a consumer or a taxpayer. Now, here's an excerpt from what the CFPB has done over just a short period of time. I'm reading this. Meanwhile, millions of dollars were diverted from the CFPB to Democratic allies. From 2014 to 2017, the Bureau paid $11 million a year to rent office space in an Obama fundraiser's building. Now, they could have gone into a government building, but they didn't. They rented for $11 million a year from 2014, 15, 16, and 17. That's 4 years. This person made $44 million for rent. Now, I don't know how many people were in this building and all that, but that's a lot of cheddar. And I would really like to see this building because I'm going to bet you this building is probably, like a crack house or something. The Dodd-Frank Act allowed the CFPB to send the civil money penalties collected in its law enforcement actions to a trustee of its choice, who, after taking a healthy cut, distributed the funds to ostensible victims in unrelated manners. So, the maneuver both enriched Democratic trustees and transformed fines extracted from defenseless businesses based on their deep pockets rather than the actual consumer harm into over $12 billion in damages, returned to 29 million injured consumers. To spread such propaganda, the Bureau paid, get this, you're going to love this, over $43 million to GMMB, a liberal advocacy group that created ads for Obama and Hillary Clinton's presidential campaigns. This is nothing more than a leftist slush fund, and it was all meant to keep Democrats in power. I remember we talked about this a long time ago, and I was saying to people, the Democrats are using our money to promote themselves. I don't remember what it was. Maybe you guys can look it up. But it was millions of dollars that Barack Obama had funneled away from something in order to say, hey, Barack Obama's great. Hey, don't you love Barack Obama's policies? And it was millions. And I'm pretty sure it was related to this, but I'm going from memory, so I'm not sure. Now, you wonder why this lady, I use that term loosely. What's her name? Leandra? Yeah, Leandra, not Kelly, Leandra Green. Who cares? Anyway, the lady that wanted to stay in power. Is it any wonder why this woman fought so hard to keep that position? Is it any wonder? By the way, if you go back and you look up Robert Cordray, who was the person who left, he left because he got mad. I think he knew the writing was on the wall. So he ended up leaving, from what I heard, in a huff because President Trump wasn't allowing him to do what he was doing. And he knew they were going to start looking into him. And trust me when I tell you, this is not the last time you're going to hear that name. Somehow he's going to find himself embroiled in a scandal. You can't do what these guys did and get away with this. Another uncloaking of a scheme by the left has been uncovered. And I want to just rehash real briefly what I just said. These guys rented their office in an Obama donor, a Democrat donor's building for $11 million a year. There are government buildings sitting empty all over this country. And they rented their office in a building of a donor, an Obama fundraiser's building, to the tune of $44 million of your dollars. Then they took billions of dollars that they got from extorting companies. Oh, you didn't meet this thing or that, and it's an agency that can just come down on you like OSHA or whatever and say you owe a fine. BP, for example, this arbitrary fine. You've got to pay $16 billion in fines for leaking into the ocean on our side of the ocean. Okay, so they pay the fines, and then BP puts that money in the slush fund, and then the slush fund goes out and indiscriminately goes, well, Black Lives Matter, you've been hurt, haven't you? Antifa, you've been hurt, haven't you? Occupy Wall Street, I can certainly see some pain you're suffering. And it goes out and it gives this money to all of its cronies. Any crazy organization that's against you, for them, let me tell you, dismantling these guys is one of the most powerful things that Donald Trump is doing. And let me tell you, he's going to be able to appoint whoever he wants to this particular thing. And I don't know the details. I don't know if that's the president's prerogative or how it works. But I do know this. Over the last 8 years, the DNC has used this organization. The Democrats have used it in order to further their cause. They haven't spent a nickel of their money. And when they claim, how much money they spent on the election for Hillary Clinton, they aren't counting this, I guarantee you. Short break. We'll be back.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. So I saw this article, and it was British Airways. People are upset about. You get to board based on your ticket price. Yeah. So if you're first class and you've paid, $2,000 for a ticket or something, you board the plane first. They put you up front. They start giving you, mimosas or whatever, and you are taken care of. Then they go to the next group. You pay $1,200. Maybe you're in business class. They give you some sort of cocktail and some chips or whatever, and then they, keep going. And you kind of see who ends up on the plane, who paid the least amount of money, which, by the way, I think is a feather in your cap. Not to go all Rosa Parks on you, like, okay, you're too cheap, so you got to sit at the back of the plane. But effectively, aren't they saying you're sitting at the back of the plane? Here's what the article says. Passengers will soon be boarding British Airways planes according to how much they paid for their flights. From next month, those who paid the lowest fares will have to wait at the departure gate and board after everyone else. Now, that being said, they don't necessarily have to sit at the back of the plane, right? Because you could have said, I'm boarding with a cheap ticket and I'd like my seat to be here. Some places outside of Southwest, you can pick your seat. Now, I presume that if you've paid more, you're going to want to sit up front. Now, what's funny is this opens a bit of a can of worms, but I think it's a good, an interesting idea. But it does open a bit of a can of worms because let's say you paid $2,000 for a ticket. And then they're loading up people in first class. And there you are in seat 14B. So you got a window seat back with the sodomites. You might be a little bit upset that you got ripped off. I'm just saying. Because now you get to know where people are. You're going to get on the plane first and go, wait, what? I mean, I'm hitting my flight attendant button. Going, whoa, hold on a minute. Excuse me, ma'am, miss. Why am I back here and all those people are up there? When we all obviously paid the same amount of money. So there's a potential, right? Or you could just be happy, I got a seat. I don't care. I make that kind of coin. So why do I need to care about where my seat is? What are they going to do? They're going to give me a little drink up there and some chips, a little wider seat, maybe a TV. I don't know, foot rub. A happy ending? You want a happy ending? Who knows? But the point is, everybody will know. So that's a bad thing. But what if you're in the second group and you end up sitting right up near the first, people that got in there? So you're like, yeah. So I didn't pay as much, but I'm still sitting right next to somebody that did. Yeah. So you feel all vindicated, which is a good thing, right? That's some positive that came out of it. Isn't it a matter of perspective? That's our theme word of the day is perspective. What are you looking for? They said the carrier will introduce a group boarding system on all its flights from December the 12th. When passengers check in, they will be assigned a group number between 1 and 5, which will be printed on the boarding pass. And it's, like I said, strictly based on the price of your ticket. I don't know whether it's a percentage or they take all the tickets and go, okay, here's group 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And it doesn't give you an amount. Obviously, you don't know what anybody paid. You just know, I'm in the first group. Nah, nah, nah. But if you're in group 5, think about this. If you're in group 5 and you end up sitting next to somebody, in theory, group 1, because you're going to, excuse me, sir, I just am curious, but which group are you in? I was in group 1, of course. Oh, well, then I'm very privileged to sit next to you. And you fist bump and the flight takes off. What? But see, what if everything were done by price? What if you were cruising down the road and you're speeding, you're going 80 and the cop stops you and he says, I stopped you, Mr. Jackson, because you were speeding, but I see you're driving a Lexus. So you get a free pass. You're paying more in taxes on that car because you probably paid a luxury tax. So he says, be alone, but be careful. Something like that. Or, what if you're driving a gas guzzler and he stops you? You got a big old Hummer. And he's like, excuse me, Mr. Jackson, but I stopped you because you're driving a big, you're speeding. And I go, yes, I was, sir. And he goes, but because you drive this very inefficient car and you pay a lot more in taxes because you eat a lot more in gasoline, I'm going to let you go. I mean, what if that were the case? Think about it. These loyalty programs, I'm just trying to stir the pot up here a little bit and get you thinking the way leftists should be thinking about what's going on here. You have a loyalty, they call these loyalty programs when you sign up for this different app. And after 10 times you've eaten somewhere, you get a free meal, or 10 times you wash your car here, you get a free car wash, or whatever it may be. So isn't that program inherently biased towards poor people? Because I can't eat at the place as often as you. So that means I don't get to take advantage of the loyalty program and get my free thing as quickly as you do. Now, I get the economics of it. You've paid for that free thing. There's a snow cone place that I took my son to, and it costs, I want to say it's like $5 for a snow cone. Now, you know what a snow cone is. It's just crushed ice. This is really good crushed ice, but, because it's all real smooth. But they scrape it in there, and then they put a little bit of juice. So the ice is technically free. I mean, it's practically free, right? There's a machine there, but I figure you're writing that off. And the amount of juice that goes into a snow cone, if it's 15 cents, I'd be shocked. But let's say it's 50 cents for the sake of discussion. So they charge $5 for these snow cones. And I know it's not 50 cents, but let's say it's $5. So it's exponentially more. So after I buy, $50 in snow cones, they give me one back. Now, technically, my $50 in snow cones is only $5. So I pay $50 to get $5 back. So you get what I'm saying? $45 profit, and they've given me back the cost of the thing. So I'm in effect financing their business, which, I mean, that's what loyalty programs are all about. So I get it, but what if I'm poor? I can only go there once. Maybe it takes me 7 years to get my freebie, or maybe I never get it because I just get to that magic number 9. I can't get past the threshold. What if everything were done based on price, the way British Airways? That's all I'm asking. What if they were done on price? How would life work? What would the left say if rich people got preferential? Hold on. Shh, don't tell anybody. Rich people do get preferential treatment. You want to know how? Because they live in better places. If you're rich, let's say you're Donald Trump, President Trump now, and you walk into a restaurant. But before he was president, Donald Trump walks into a restaurant. Do you think they don't give him a preferential table and preferential treatment? And the person comes over and gives him a bottle of wine or whatever it may be? I mean, come on. You know it. See, the good thing about there is an incentive in this program. Pay a higher price for your ticket. If it means for you getting on the plane first, that's a big deal, then do it. Now, Southwest Airlines, they have a unique approach. You don't know what anybody paid. And the only thing that can get you preferential treatment is if you fly a lot, which means you've paid a lot. So you become you get preferred status. So you're in the top 30 group no matter what. And if you fly business select, then you're in the top 15. So you've paid more for your ticket, and they say you get on first. But you could be top flyer business select because you've flown a bunch of cheap flights. But if you fly enough of them, they figure they've made enough money. You could be the first guy on the plane every time. But you don't know what anybody paid. It isn't based on that. It's based on when you check in. And in the seat you grab, there are no first class seats. The closest to first class is that row. Let me see. One of the ones by the exits. There's one that's got a lot more leg room, and maybe even a seat goes back. But that's as close as you get to preferential treatment on that particular airline. That airline changed its policies too. You need to be aware. If you got one of those want to get away tickets and you don't cancel your flight now, you lose your ticket. I didn't know that. I found that out the hard way. We were able to get the ticket back, but it was a really weird way to do it. So be aware of that. Anyway, I think everything maybe should be done by price. That would just give us incentive to work harder and do more. Way to go, British Airways. I don't know if people are going to have the same reaction as I do, but I like incentive. I want to get on that plane first now.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. So we hadn't done our tweet of the day. We had some good tweets. I like this one. I think Charlie Kirk deserves a tweet of the day. It says, America in 2017 used the wrong gender pronoun in California, and liberals want to put you in prison. But if you are a 5-time deported illegal alien and murder someone in the open, you walk free. That's a pretty profound thing in the wake of, of the verdict around Kate Steinle's murderer. And as I've said earlier in the broadcast, and I will be saying it for quite some time, as tragic as that was, it's working in the favor of America and in the favor of Donald Trump, who is a pro-legal immigration advocate for this country. We are not anti-immigration at all. And the cases like this only illuminate how crazy the left can be. Here was another one that I thought was interesting. Katie Hopkins, I think is her name. KT. She says, Muslim throws homosexual from roof. White man films Muslim throwing homosexual from roof. Verdict, white man is racist Islamophobe. And I cracked up about that and actually sent KT a message, that was like, I so love this. And I didn't describe her as a woman. I described her as like what you would think, how you have to describe a woman today. This person who might declare herself to be a woman, who therefore may or may not be, because she has a short haircut and has admitted that she is not a lesbian, but therefore does not mean that you can use the pronouns she and her and things like that. And it was a crazy tweet. And I'm waiting on KT's response. Hey, speaking of Twitter, they're under fire. And rightfully so. You guys are aware that we are under attack by social media. The guy who owns Twitter, if you want to get to him, is just @Jack. And his first name is Jack. And he has been an outspoken critic of President Donald Trump. And the irony of that is, as a capitalist, this guy should be so enthralled with Donald Trump because he has single-handedly put Twitter on the map. He's made Twitter a force to be reckoned with. And Jack, who philosophically differs with President Trump for whatever reason, builds an open forum for social media. And then what does he do? It's been proven that he will shut down certain things that he doesn't like. If you have hashtag love Trump, and it starts to trend, Twitter's people internally can say, don't let this trend. And so you're going, wonder how people feel about Donald Trump. I don't know. It doesn't seem like too many people love him. And that's the end of the conversation. If he wants to make something trend, like Hillary is good, or climate change is good for the planet, or whatever, he can make things, he can set those trends, pull the levers that say, this is what you see, this is what you don't see. See, if it were purely organic and it was whatever's out there in the world, it's, good or bad, but what the left said, well, we can't let that happen because there's too much fake news. So in light of ABC and Brian, what's his face, and his fake news stories, or, Brian Williams, and I don't know, 80% of the crap this guy ever said is fake. All the collusion between 65 media outlets and the Hillary campaign, and you are going to tell us, you're going to tell us what fake news is? But that's what they do. Zuckerberg of Facebook. There's too much fake news out there and too many people that, blah, blah, blah. So we need to say, stop the conservatives. Lord knows the IRS did. So the FCC is like, wait a minute. You guys have far too much power. Oh, I'm losing my voice. Far too much power. And they're going on the offensive. They want to make the case for repealing net neutrality rules. FCC Chairman Ajit Pai accused Twitter and other tech companies of being disingenuous by arguing for a free and open internet while they, quote, routinely block or discriminate against content they don't like. I was talking to somebody, and it was about I don't know, some controversial issue, and they asked me, Kevin, should they be allowed to say that, or should they be? I was like, yeah. I didn't even agree. It would be like, Kevin, do you know that the KKK has a Twitter handle? I'd be like, really? I don't think Twitter should let them have that up. And I'd go, why? What are you talking about? Why do you think that Twitter shouldn't let these? I don't care if they're radical. I don't espouse anything that the KKK is about. Why would I follow Democrats? You guys know my feelings on this. But, I would not want to shut them down. I mean, I would use them as fodder. Hey, I was out on the KKK's Twitter page today, and here's what they had to say. I'd lampoon them. I'd want people to understand what they're about. Why would I want that taken down? Oh man, there's some, Muslim videos of them cutting off people's heads. Fantastic. You mean ISIS is showing you the lifestyle that they want for the rest of the world? Congratulations. But Twitter's, and Facebook, it'll hurt people's feelings if they know what they do. No, we can't do that. No. But you can cut off Israeli heads. Muslims can do whatever they want, and they will let them do it. But only if it glorifies, oh, no, you don't want to do that. Let us run your PR for you, Muslims. But let an Israeli say, we do not like that the Palestinian people keep lobbing bombs over into Israel. Oh, look at you with your hate speech, you Jews. You Zionist. That's hate speech. I mean, for the things that I've been kicked off of, ban, like I told you guys, I got a 7 days? 7-day ban because I dare ask Hillary Clinton and Ashley Judd if women, feminists, had a name for Uncle Tom for when they did not agree with things that other feminists did. Is there a terminology that they use? I was looking for education. They wouldn't allow me to have my education. Banned me for saying, how dare you try to learn, black man? How dare you try to figure things out and be clever in doing it? Facebook's worse, far worse. And you know what's funny? I listen to people say things to me on Facebook that are scary thoughts. They'll say things like, well, this is what my own people said that run our website. They said, Kevin, we're going to have to look at our tone, man, because if we continue in this tone, then Facebook's not going to give us as much reach. And when they don't give us as much reach, we're not making as much money, and the word's not getting. They're trying to soft shoot. The word doesn't get out, because they know I'm glad we make money from it, but it's about expanding the message. I don't send a message out and go, ooh, this is going to make us $30 in fractional pennies. Whatever it makes, but it should have maximum coverage. And I'm not forcing anybody's hand to read an ad that pops up during the thing. In fact, most of you are reading the ads of stuff you've searched for. So it's not me. But if I make money on that, great. But I want to reach millions of people with every single thing that I do. It's not because it's going to monetize and bring me money, but because it's going to bring people to the message. It's like a preacher. I don't want to act like I'm a man of God in terms of being a Christian, but I'm no preacher. But that's the way you grow your church. People must evangelize your message for you to grow. You have to reach more and more people. So yeah, I'd like to say there's 100 million people that read everything I do every day. That there's 3 million people coming to my website every day. If I had that to say, I'd be in hog heaven. Because I know I'm reaching the majority of conservatives in this country and a lot of leftists who are saying, I want to wake up and follow what this guy's saying. He's talking about leadership to a friend of mine. Grew up poor, white guy. I tease him about white privilege, and he gets really mad. Even to this day, he gets real mad. Kevin, I grew up, and my dad used to beat the crap out of me when he got drunk, and I had to protect my sister, and I left the house at the age of 13. I've been working since the age of 10, and I built myself into a multimillionaire. And he did. He did all of that. I tease him and still tell him it's white privilege. But, here's a guy gets up and works his butt off and does it. That's a guy who wants a message out that says, there's no white privilege with me. There's no white privilege with the overwhelming majority of people. Let me tell you this. What white privilege does somebody have over the Beyonce and Jay-Z's kids? Over, Magic Johnson's kids or Tiger Woods' kids or anybody else? What advantage do they have? The answer is none. Anyway, we had a ton to talk about. We'll get to this stuff tomorrow. Alabama race is coming up. The economy again. We're going to do some Jeopardy tomorrow, maybe. And then I swear there's a lot of other stories we didn't get to I wanted to get to today, but there's always time, isn't there?
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.